Welcome back to another episode of the Draw Control Podcast. On today's podcast, I am joined by junior on the Michigan women's lacrosse team, Jillian Smith. In her lacrosse career, Jillian is a two-time Tewaaraton nominee. She was on the first team All-Big Ten team, the Big Ten All-Tournament team, and the academic All-Big Ten team as well. Last season, Jillian broke the Michigan points record and goals record. Before college, Jillian earned All-American honors in her sophomore and senior seasons, was named the Lacrosse Player of the Year award as a senior, and holds the Michigan high school record for most points in a single game. Jillian, welcome to the Draw Control Podcast, and how's everything going?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. Everything's been great. Home for break right now, which is nice.
Well, I'm excited to have you on as well, and obviously, like you mentioned, you're on break, so how was your fall semester for you, both on and off the field?
Yeah, fall was great. We played 5 weekends of fall ball tournaments and games, so that was fun. We played some good competition like BC, Notre Dame, and Stony Brook, and so that was great. Academically, I just transferred into the School of Kinesiology, so I'm doing sport management now. And so last semester was great. It was my first semester doing it, so I'm excited to go back and do some more sport management classes next semester. But everything was great. Yeah, great fall. Excited to get back out there, eager to be back in January and start practicing again for our season.
Yeah. What were some things that you worked on this fall and this off season to get ready for the upcoming season?
I worked a lot on my strength and fitness. We have a great trainer who has helped us with that this fall and helped us get to where we are. And over this break, we have a nice packet to follow, so we can come back in January ready to hit the ground running and going. And so that was great. I also worked on my shooting a lot and like different ways to score and assist. And in my dodges, added some more dodges to my game and a little bit of leadership too. So that will help us in the spring. So very excited for it though.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. How do you try to become more of a versatile attacker? Because obviously you were one of the better attackers in the Big Ten last year. And obviously people have a lot of tape on you, so they're trying to find different ways to stop you. So you have to become more versatile because of that. So I'm just curious how you sort of work on that part of your game. You don't want to give all your secrets away on the podcast for any opponents who might be listening, but just a little insight about how that goes for you, I guess.
Yeah. So for myself, I was last year I was a big dodger. So this year I'm trying to get different dodges so defenders won't know how to defend it and start practicing some new ones, and also just my shooting. So like instead of maybe shooting it from the middle of the crease every time, like outside shots, and just little things that I couldn't have done last year that I've been working on. So this season I have some more stuff to add to my game, so it'd be harder.
Now, being an upperclassman this year, what type of leadership have you tried to bring to the team? Would you consider yourself more of a vocal leader or lead by example type of player?
I'd say both, but probably more by example. I'm very competitive. My teammates know that. And I'm good at like setting the tone for practice and like competing out there. And so I think a lot of people follow that. I'm always like working hard and doing some extra stuff. So I think people notice that, but I'm also not afraid to speak up and talk. I'm very loud, very outgoing. So like comes on the field too. So that's been great.
Now, like you mentioned, you had some fall ball practices and scrimmages against some of the top teams in the country. What did you take away from those practices and scrimmages that your team had? And how have the new players looked on your team as well? And how is everything sort of meshing in at this point of the year?
Yeah, so this fall we focused a lot on like the fundamentals and the little things because we realized throughout the fall and last year especially that at the end of the day, like the teams that are going to be the best and going to win the big games, championships and everything, they have all the fundamentals down. They don't have to worry about catching and throwing during a game because they're focused on their play, their dodge. The other parts of the game that are more important, or not more important, but that will help you score and help you win rather than the fundamentals. If you don't have that down, then it's pretty hard to dodge if you don't have the ball in your stick. So we've took a little step back to practice that and make sure we have that down. So, and especially like when we get later into the season and the tournament, a couple plays here and there can make or break a game. So we want to make sure we don't have any excuses of why like our fundamentals aren't perfect. And I think our freshmen have been doing great. We have 10 freshmen this year, but they've been struggling with some injuries. So only a couple of them have been playing in practice, but the ones that have been playing, they've been doing great. They've adjusted well. I know the freshman year is an adjustment. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was rough and it was a little hard, but they've been doing amazing, and we're really excited for the season and to see what comes from it.
Are the other 8 freshmen that have been injured, are they expected to come back and play, I guess, or practice with you guys this spring?
Yeah, I think there's 4 that are practicing, 6 that are injured, so it's been a little rough. I'm sure for the injured ones too, it's probably a little harder to be back in like a new school and everything injured, but a few of them are supposed to be back and ready to play after break when we come back in January. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, we're excited for them.
Yeah, I'm curious how that works because obviously it's such an adjustment going from high school to college. So like
Hmm.
when they haven't had that time in the fall to sort of practice, how do you sort of try to get them, I guess, acclimated with the team in such a short amount of time?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think they've been doing a good job, like outside lacrosse, like coming around the team, making sure, like, because I feel like we bond a lot on the field, even during practice and stuff, just talking to each other in line. So I think it's been hard for some of the freshmen to get adjusted because they're not around everyone all the time at practice because they're on the sideline or in the training room. But outside of lacrosse, outside of practice time, our team chemistry has been great this year and everyone gets along very well. So that's exciting and I think it pays off.
Now, what are your team's goals and expectations for the upcoming season?
Yeah, so our team, we want to win Big Tens this year. I think we can do it. And we want to make it further in the NCAA tournament than we ever have. And I think we've made it to the Sweet 16 3 or 4 times. So we're ready to make it further and go to the Elite Eight.
And obviously, individually, what do you want to see yourself accomplish for the upcoming season?
Yeah, so I had a great season last year. So I think I want to match that and do better this year. First team All-American would be my goal, but overall, if we win Big Tens, I don't really care. That's really my big goal. I really want to do that.
So now let's transition and talk about the beginning of your lacrosse career and sort of work all the way up to where you are today. So from the research I did on yourself, it says that you're from Farmington Hills, Michigan. So talk about growing up there and how did you start playing lacrosse?
Yeah, so I'm from Farmington Hills, as you said. That's 35 minutes from Ann Arbor, so very close. And lacrosse just isn't very popular in the state of Michigan. So it was a little interesting I had an interesting story of how I started. None of my friends played, but I have 3 brothers. My older brother played lacrosse and he's 2 years older than me. And one day he was playing in the backyard, just like catch maybe wall ball or something. And so just being the little sister and wanting to be doing everything, went out there and I asked him to play catch with him. So he gave me a stick and I started playing and it came like really easy to me. Usually the first time people touch a stick, like you can't catch the ball and stuff. And I just remember like catching it and throwing it. And I was like, wow, like this isn't that hard. And like I was like, this is kind of fun. So I told my dad, and my dad did some research and we found out that one of our family friends played on a club team that was just starting that year, or was going to be playing on a club team that was just going to be starting that year. And so he told me that I should come with his daughter and go to the practice and see how I like it. So I went, and of course, again, Michigan's not big in lacrosse. So at the time, this club team only had like one team for all middle school. So I was in 5th grade playing with like 8th graders that one day. But yeah, ever since that one day, I think I just loved it. And like I don't know, it was something like I hadn't played before, and I played every sport under the sun. So something different. And then over time, I just grew in love with it. And I kept wanting to play. And then, of course, started playing club and traveling to like the East Coast and doing more intense things with it. And then, yeah, overall, just became my sport that I really loved.
And growing up, did you have like a favorite player or team that you like to watch?
Yeah, I didn't follow as much as you would think a lacrosse player who was like wanted to play in college so badly would. But I did like Taylor Cummings. I went to some of her clinics when she was like local and came into the Midwest. So she was probably my favorite person to watch. And just like any little girl, Maryland, all the big teams, you
Hmm.
wanted to cheer for, especially when we went over to like tournaments on the East Coast. We'd always stop at a Maryland game or stop at Maryland's campus, get some swag. So those
That's
schools for
awesome.
sure. Yeah.
And now you want to beat them now, which is full
Yeah, now
circle.
I don't like it.
Well,
Yes.
well, before college, you played for your prep school at Mercy. So I just want to ask you about your prep school experience with that team and sort of what your favorite memory is when you look back on it now.
Yeah, I loved playing for my high school. It was for sure a lot different than my club team and playing on the East Coast, but it was really fun. I got to play with all my high school friends, which none of my high school friends were really on my club team, so that was fun. But yeah, it was a little more like laid back. I think there were like 3 or 4 of us on the team that played club, so majority of the team was just playing for the spring season and then would be done for the summer and then pick up their stick again in the spring. So it was a little laid back. We weren't amazing. We didn't play like great competition either, but yeah, a lot of fun. I like just having a stick in my hand and being less stressed about what was happening on the field, I think helped me not get burnt out, throughout the years. But my favorite memory would probably be my senior year, beating Cranbrook, which was a high school near me for the first time. Cranbrook was like the best lacrosse school around here, and everyone wanted to beat them. They would knock us out of states playoffs every year. So my senior year being them was really cool. That's where like Izzy Skane, I'm not sure if you're familiar with her. Izzy
Oh, of
Skane.
course I am.
Yeah. Yep. Izzy Skane went there. So they have a lot of good lacrosse players that come out of that school. So beating them
Mhm.
my senior year was really cool.
Every time I hear the name Cranbrook, all I think about is the 8 Mile movie where Eminem's like, "You went to Cranbrook, that's a private school." I don't know if you
Yep.
know that, but
Yes.
I feel like that though they hear those chirps all the time, I would imagine from that. So,
Oh yeah.
what
Oh,
was it like scoring the most points in a game as well? You hold the high school record for that. I don't know if you like, did you know when you broke that record when that happened, or was that something that you sort of found out later?
I knew my coach. I think I like subbed out at one point. And my coach was like, "You're so close to breaking the record," and I realized it, but
Mhm.
in the game I didn't realize it. But yeah, that was really cool. I'm sure it's going to be shattered very soon. We have some good lacrosse players in the state of Michigan, so yeah. But that was a really cool experience.
Well, at least you can enjoy the bragging rights for at least another season at least.
Yeah, I
That's
need to. Yeah, till it's gone.
yeah. Well, talk about how your sort of high school lacrosse experience, but also your club lacrosse experience with Triumph / Lakeshore helped sort of prepared you for the college game once you finally got to Michigan.
Yeah, so my high school for sure, I learned some great like leadership skills and just playing with different people was great, but my club team is really what helped me get here. And I played for Triumph since 5th grade to when I went to college, but I also started playing for Lakeshore out of Chicago in high school. I think it was after my freshman year that summer until I graduated, but I played with them for a couple summers, which was great. They were a great program and they weren't far, so I would go to tournaments with them on the East Coast, and they helped me. It was good playing. Like, they had some really good girls, so it was really good playing with and against really good competition. I think that helped me in like recruiting wise. I know for college coaches to look at me when I'm playing on my Michigan club team against like Midwest club teams, I probably look great, but like how you don't know how I compare to like other girls on the East Coast and their lacrosse skills. So I think playing against better competition was really helpful for me in my recruiting process. So college coaches could see like what I played like against some of the best players. And yeah, I think that helped me a lot for college and for sure helped me with my recruiting, got some eyes on me. So that helped me a lot.
You also played basketball during your time in Mercy, so I'm curious how that's playing basketball sort of helped you in lacrosse, because every lacrosse player that I've talked to that played basketball says the defense in basketball very translates very well to the lacrosse game, and it probably helps out with burnout, like you mentioned before.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say burnout was number one. Like every day going to practice. I didn't really practice lacrosse probably from December till like March. I was basketball focused every day, 6 days a week, which I think was great for me. It helped me not get burnt out. And like maybe that's still why I really love the sport. Like some people get sick of it when that's the only sport they play. But yeah, I think basketball, again, like you said, similar, very similar sports. The defense is almost identical. And like zone, man, everything about it, like picks, slips. Yeah. So I think driving, like ISOs, I think everything's very similar. I think that helps with like my IQ for lacrosse. And my family's a big basketball family. My dad played in college. My brother played in college. My younger brother's going to play in college. And then I have a youngest brother who's very young, but I'm sure he's going to play throughout if he can. But basketball has been like my family's sport. And so I've played that since for as long as I can remember. It's like the girls on the East Coast when they say like they play lacrosse since as long as I can remember. It's me with basketball. That's the
Hmm.
same. And yeah, I love the sport. I'm so happy I've played. I was a little sad my senior year when I was done, but ready for college and ready for some lacrosse.
Yeah, you should try to convince your younger brother to play lacrosse. You have two siblings that play one
I
sport and the
know.
other two that play
Like,
basketball. I feel
figuring
like
it
that
out.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Who was did you guys have like a favorite basketball team or player that you guys like watching growing up?
Um, I love like watching LeBron James just like everyone else, but yeah, not really. I didn't watch as much as I probably should have or you would have thought. My family was always watching it. I'd be there, but not really paying
Hmm.
attention sometimes or doing something else.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
my family actually funny, but everyone loves Michigan State basketball. So that's on a lot in my house. And when I went to Michigan, everyone was like, "You're going to Michigan?" My family's big state fan. So it was a little interesting to break that.
Hmm. That's for sure. But is Michigan like they're just as good of a, I'm not. It's surprising. Obviously, I'm wearing the UConn sweatshirt, big UConn guy, but like I'm not. I'm more of into their hockey and baseball programs than basketball. So I'm sort of like Michigan is just as good as Michigan State in basketball, though, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I think Michigan State's better, but I don't know like history of it, but I think right now, at least this year, I think Michigan State's
Uh,
better.
well, we
But
should. I know the Fab Five and all that stuff, so there's some
yeah,
history there for sure. But
yeah,
hey,
I
at
think
least you
it's
have a good football team, though. I think that's more fun
true.
sometimes.
True. No, I'm excited for that game.
Oh yeah, it should be a lot. I will be rooting for you guys because I'm tired of seeing Alabama win all the time. So, but then I'll be rooting for Washington or Texas if they and if you guys end up playing them in the national championship game, though.
There.
All right, so let's talk about your recruiting process with Michigan and sort of what made you want to go there versus the schools you might have looked at. It seemed kind of like a no-brainer since it's you live so close, and obviously it's a good school academically to go to as well.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, after talking to schools, I realized I wanted to like stay in the Midwest. I very much a homebody, wanted to be close to home. So I narrowed it down to Michigan, Ohio State, and Marquette. And then like later on narrowed it down to really Michigan and Ohio State. But they're very similar schools. I hate to say it, but they're very similar. And what sets them apart though, I think was Michigan's academics are outstanding and you can't get their academics and their athletics. Like no other school really has both like that. And so I thought that was obviously a no-brainer. And then on top of that, to be the only girl that could say that I represented my home state would be amazing. No one else on my team's from Michigan, I'm the only one. So I thought that was really cool and something. I remember one of my coaches told me that they're like, you'd be the only girl that would represent Michigan on your team, right? You're the only one from Michigan. I was like, oh my God, I realized that, but I didn't really think about that. And I just realized how cool that is because majority of lacrosse players, D1 players, can't say they represent their home state. I feel like it's kind of rare that you go to school in your own state, especially some kids on the East Coast. They always come like to all these other schools in the North. But yeah, I thought that was obviously a no-brainer and being close to home. Ohio State was only 3 hours away, but to be 45, 35, whatever it is, I thought that was
Yeah.
really cool. Not that I really go home often. My parents are always like, do you want to come home? Do you want to come home? I'm like, I'm so busy. I don't even have time. So it's like nice to have my house or my home close if I need to, but I don't really go back that often.
I think it's more beneficial for them because they can go to all your games
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff.
they love it. They love it. They'll have my team over all the time for dinner and stuff. My teammates love it to go home and get a home cooked meal and just be in like a home
Hmm.
atmosphere. So yeah, I'm no complaints. I wouldn't change anything.
Do they have any future Michigan players coming to the team in the next couple of years? So will that
There will
change?
Yeah, so there'll be one next year that is coming. She's from Country Day, or she goes to school in Country Day, so she's right by me. But yeah, so my senior year I will have a freshman. That'll be
That's
my buddy
good.
from Michigan. But the last 3 years haven't had a buddy from Michigan.
That's good. That's good. Hopefully that continues to grow as well, because that just shows you how the growth of lacrosse is getting bigger
Yeah.
throughout each different areas as well. So now, as a freshman, sort of what was like the biggest adjustment you had to make to college lacrosse?
Um, I'd say the speed of the game was huge. I remember coming to practice the first day and everyone was like going, going, going. I was like, I can't even keep up. Like just the IQ of it was, yeah, it just so different, so fast paced. But it took some time to get adjusted to. But then after, it's like I think it makes it more fun, makes it more enjoyable, better to watch for like fans and spectators too. Just the fast paced game. I think the new rules really help that. Um, but yeah, just I would say the speed of the game.
Yeah, I feel like the new rules though, I heard there was a lot of whistles for stuff that shouldn't have been
Oh yeah,
whistled. Do you
not
think
the
that's gonna
like not
change
the
though?
new.
Do you think that's gonna change? Like, do you think they'll be more strict about it in the fall and it just like them trying to get used to it, like the officials before spring starts?
Yeah, by the new rules, I meant the ones like in college, not these new rules. These new rules are, I don't know if they're gonna last.
Oh,
They're,
okay.
yeah. I mean, I think this season they'll last, but they're gonna have to adjust them. I think some of them won't last very long, but we'll see. I think we heard about some teams having some crazy fall ball games, like playing like 7v3 and stuff like that. But we didn't have any of those kind of games, so we had it a little different. And I thought some of the rules were great, but some were a little
Yeah.
iffy. Yeah.
Until a team gets like kind of screwed over in the tournament about that,
Oh
then
yeah.
they'll change it for
They'll
sure. But
change
I
it.
just think it's funny when they're talking about how they want to make the game not take as long because it would help with TV viewership, and then they
Mhm.
create some rules that make the game take longer because obviously players have to sub off the field and stuff. So it just that sort of I find that kind of ironic a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Now you play in the Big Ten. Obviously, I would say it's you or the ACC that's the best conference for women's lacrosse. I would say you guys might have the edge right now with Northwestern winning the Natty, but what's it like playing in the Big Ten and just the competition that you face each game? And how excited are you for teams like Oregon and USC to show up next season?
Yeah. So I think the Big Ten's great. I think our conference we're very tough, gritty, like always competing against each other. And I think it makes it really fun to watch. And I think especially we're very like physical. And I think some other schools might be more like lacrosse skills and like more showy, but I think our team, Michigan, in the Big Ten as a whole, very, very tough and physical. And the games get intense, which is very fun and very, I'm sure, very entertaining to watch. So I think that's huge. I think that's something the Big Ten um, has a strength of. And I think having those other teams come in will be great. It'll be very fun to go out there and travel, get some nice weather maybe once in a while. But yeah, I think it's great. I think it'll be interesting, but I'm sure it's gonna be harder for them to come constantly over
Oh,
here.
that's gonna be a brutal travel
Yeah, I don't know
schedule.
how that's gonna work with school and stuff. Like even this year for our upcoming season in the spring, we have so many games on. We have a couple Wednesday games and like Thursday games. So I'm like, we're gonna miss so much school. So I cannot even imagine. And we're not even traveling that far to the East Coast, only an hour flight. But yeah, they're gonna have a it's gonna be interesting. And I think it'll
Yeah.
be an investment, but I think it'll be great. More teams, the better.
My guess is it's probably gonna be like sort of split, like they have like a few weeks on the road, so then they don't have to keep flying back and forth, and then they're gonna have like a few of like a consecutive like a lot of games at home. I do think
Yeah,
that's probably the way it's gonna have to be. But I
yeah,
will say that academic, trying to do all that stuff like on the east, like with the time difference and stuff, that's gonna be
yeah,
crazy.
that's gonna be
So,
hard.
speaking of academics, how do you balance academics and lacrosse at such a high level?
Yeah, so I think we get so much help. We have tutors if we need. We have some academic counselors that help us make our schedules and do everything for us under the sun. So that's very helpful. Also, fun fact that I have an obsession with planners. So that really helps me. I get to plan, I plan out every day, every morning, and all my work for the week and for the month. So that helps and keeps me organized. And I think just time management's something you get used to and you get great at because you have practice for 4 hours and you have class for 4 hours. You have 2 hours to do work. Like you have to get it done and you just have to make sure you have everything scheduled out. And yeah, I would say I thought I coming into college, I probably thought it was going to be a little harder than it is. I think I do a good job. And I think having so much on our plates, like it helps us get our stuff done when we need to, rather if we had 5 hours to do an hour assignment or 1 hour doing 2 hours doing a 1 hour assignment, like you'll get it done faster because you know you have to and you don't have the time to just do whatever you want and then figure it out later. So I think that helps just having a busy schedule. Like you have to do it and you just get it done.
Yeah, less time to procrastinate.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Think about what else you could be doing. You have to do it right then and there. So I think it's
Yeah.
good.
Now, let's talk about your lacrosse career so far. So, during your freshman year, your team went 11-7 and lost to Northwestern in the NCAA tournament after a big win against Notre Dame in the first round. So, my question is, what did you take away from your freshman year and your first overall tournament experience?
Yeah. So that year we actually got a bid into the tournament. So I remember sitting in that room, the selection show on that Sunday before, and we were all freaking out. We really had no idea if we were going to get it or not. Like our coaches even didn't know. Like they told us they were like, we really don't know. We're all sitting in this room and have no idea. So it was a little scary. But when we heard our name come on that screen, we were all freaking out and just so excited to have another opportunity to play together. And so I think that really helped us for the Notre Dame game. We came out ready to go and we didn't want to lose. And so we did it. We got it done. But that Northwestern game was a little harder. I think it's hard because Northwestern has knocked us out every year. That at least I've been there. But yeah, so that was obviously not fun to go out like that. But I think that helped us for the year after. And I think every year that we've lost, it's helped us improve the next year. And I think just like that first year, we had a great team. We started out the season, I think 11 and something, or 11 and 0, 10 and 0, something, but we were going, we were great. So, I think that first year was just a battle and just getting adjusted and stuff. And I think my freshman class did a great job with that. We actually had a lot of girls in my class that contributed on the field. So that was really cool. But I think that year really just helped us and helped us grow all as individuals for our sophomore season, which was last year.
Yeah, and you improved a lot between your freshman and sophomore year. What would you say is the biggest improvement you've made to your game?
I think between the years, my confidence was huge. I think my freshman year, actually, I came in as a midi. So I played midfield the whole fall, half of the first, or half of the spring. And then one day my coaches told me, they're like, we're going to switch you to attack. And I was like, oh my gosh. So then I started starting as attacker. And I think after having like a game under my belt, like as an attacker, like I think midi, I was kind of in and out of the lineup. I played some games, I didn't play some games. So it's kind of hard to get like adjusted and get my confidence there because I was never knew what was going to happen. But I think once I really started to play and I was on the field, I started to get my confidence back. And I think throughout like between the 2 years, I just really worked hard. And like I think I knew at the end of my freshman year that like the potential our team had and like what we could do. So it inspired me throughout the summer just to come back and get in shape, get a stick in my hand, shoot more balls throughout the week. And I think also like my freshman year, I had a lot of seniors I looked up to. And so I just tried to like be like them and work as hard as they did throughout that summer. So I came back my sophomore year ready to go.
Now, during your sophomore year, your team won over 10 games, but once again fell to Northwestern in the regionals. So, what did you take away from your team's performance this past year? And what do you think it's going to take to get over the hump and win a Big Ten championship and get further in the tournament? Because I know that's one of your team's goals for this
Yeah,
year.
for sure. We still talk about that game. The final score is 8-7. So whenever we're doing something hard, running or something we just don't really feel like doing maybe in the moment, we scream out 8-7, 8-7, because that's how close we were last year. And I think in the moment that was awful to go out like that. Like that was, you might think it's worse to be like, or better to be close, but it was almost worse because we were just so close to having that game. But I think that's helped us throughout this entire summer. And even this fall, we've worked so much harder and like back to like the little things and fundamentals. Like throughout that game, there could have been a couple plays here and there that might have changed the outcome of it. So that's why learning how to catch the ball when it's a bad throw, good throw, everything, maybe shooting, working on finishing and just shoot instead of just shooting the ball, and just little things like that about our game that we've been really harping on this fall, I think stem from that game and how close we were. And so I think it's just that game has just made us more hungry. Like we know we can do it. We are right there. And I think that gives everyone some confidence and like just wants to work a little harder. So like this year, this fall, everyone's been doing so much extra. Like years past, it hasn't been like that, but this year everyone goes out before practice and is shooting wall ball, doing extra run to be better or to be faster, to be fitter, everything. So I think the little things have really been helping us, and I think it's going to pay off this spring, and I'm so excited to see what we do.
So we're now in a segment I like to call the non-lacrosse segment, where I ask you some non-lacrosse questions to get to know you a little bit more off the field. So my first one to you is, which player on the Michigan women's lacrosse team has the best off the field style besides yourself?
I would say probably Josie Gooch. She's a senior. She's from Texas. She has great style.
If there was a movie made about your life, who would you want to play yourself?
Maybe Jennifer Lawrence. I think of like the Hunger Games, and I think she'd be great.
What is your guilty pleasure TV show?
Um, I don't know if I have a show, but for sure, like the Netflix original series, I always get caught watching those and entertained by them.
Yeah. Now, what's the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
Actually, last night I was scrolling on TikTok and I came across the Nebraska volleyball record for fans at a game, and there was this documentary attached to it. So I had my family and I watch it, and that was really cool,
Hmm.
very
Well,
inspiring.
I saw something called the Brady Six. I guess this is a very good that you're on the podcast as a Michigan student. So
Yeah.
it's a really cool documentary. It's about the six quarterbacks that were picked before Tom Brady in the 2000 NFL draft. And it's pretty crazy looking back on it, like how all these teams passed up on what would have ended up being the greatest quarterback of all time. And I just really liked his mentality and how he wanted to prove people wrong. And it was pretty inspiring to watch. So I thought that was pretty interesting and just a good documentary for sure.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Now, one more non-lacrosse question is what is one item on your bucket list that you hope to go to one day or accomplish?
Um, Something on my bucket list has always been to go to Italy, but this summer I'm actually going, so it'll be soon checked off.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I would say for me, travel as well. Probably
Yeah.
like West Coast. That looks like a lot of fun. So, you get to check that off in a couple years as well. So I'm being a little jealous, even
Oh
though
yeah.
you're not really going on vacation, but it's still good to be there.
Yes.
Now, back to some lacrosse questions now. First one is, what should be done to help grow women's lacrosse from your perspective?
I think everything right now is moving in the right direction, but I think like viewership and just getting it on TV and easy to access, I think would help a lot. 'Cause the more it's on, the more someone just clicks the channel and it's just right there. It'll be easier to watch than having to go search for the streaming, pay to watch it. So I just think making it easy and like streamed for free online or whatever would just be helpful and get people's eyes on it. So then once you watch it, I think it's a great sport to watch and people might start to enjoy it or start to follow it if they see it. And yeah, I think just getting people to watch the first game is the hardest part. And then once they do, then they would want to follow it.
Hmm. Well, Jill, this was super fun to do this podcast with you. Do you have any shout outs you want to give to your teammates, family members, or friends? And who should we have on the podcast next?
Yeah, I mean, shout out my whole team. I love everyone, my coaches, family, everyone. But any of my teammates would be great to have on this podcast.
Well, thank you so much, Jill, for coming on. I appreciate your time. I think you're a great player and an even better person. And best of luck for this upcoming season. I know you guys are going to do big things, and I really enjoyed our conversation today. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.